Friday, and it is a feel-good Friday right here at Morning Cafe. My name is Fred Ndimuli. This is TV47 Morning Cafe. The youth perspective, as we do every Friday. And we have a group of young Kenyans in studio. And the question today is, even as we anticipate the marking of the one-year anniversary of the events of June 25 last year, we ask, today I'm probing the clarity of what Kenyan youth are seeking, what it is they're agitating for. Mwangi Ngai, unfortunately, we could not hear what you were saying last time, but I'll give you another opportunity. The issue last year was about the budget-making process. Right now, the youth, even going to the streets, are agitating about something different. They're protesting against police brutality, and rightly so, yes. We're not saying it is not something to be protested against, but don't you think that probably someone has successfully managed to distract Kenyan youth from the conversation they sought to have last year around the budget-making process? That this time round, no young Kenyan is talking about the finance bill or the budget. You've moved on to police brutality. Yes, it is a good agitation, yes, but someone must have missed or taken a different corner somewhere.
Okay. Good morning, Fred, once again. Sorry for the technical hitches. My name is Mwangi Ngai, and for me, I would first of all start by extending my deepest condolences to the family of Albert Omondi Ojwang, and also, in extension, my sympathies and solidarity to Boniface Kariuki, who was shot this week. It's quite unfortunate, Fred, to see the people who are at the cornerstone of our society and the development being attacked by this government. It's quite absurd. Mine is not even to say that youth don't have clarity. Youth, I think, are even wiser than they were last year. The thing is, for now, they have just opted to stay back and fight for what they believe would be survival tactics. Because it has been illustrated many times that these guys will not be listening to us. They will just but be hearing us. So unfortunately, youth will just be fighting for survival tactics for now. However, we have a date on the 2nd August of 2027 with our president, because he has to go home. Okay. And one term will be as inevitable as it is, and it gets better by the day. Okay. Yes.
So at least you agree, Njeri, that the clarity of what Kenyan youth were pushing for last year is a bit blurred this time round. That yes, there are so many issues. That last year was about the budget-making process. This year, it's not about that at all.
Fortunately or unfortunately, the government has come up with very dangerous and very creative ways to distract the young people. Sometimes we from the mountain, you'll hear us say that every time we have something serious to discuss, suddenly we have blogs that are serving tea. Suddenly, when we have...
You're discussing Mulamua now.
Yeah, now yesterday when Matiang'i is coming into the country, if the whole country was tuned to a truth story, you know? So I think the government has become too fearful of the young people that they have to craft stories, they have to look for clout to take away the attention of the young people. And you see...
And they've done that successfully.
Yeah, as young people, you see sometimes some of these even as we want to also hear. But the problem is, we really hope that the young people, we as the young people can learn to distinguish when the government is doing operation and when we need to be in action. Because the finance bill that went through, if I wish we as Kenyans and as young people would understand what was passed, because it's a dangerous bill. Extensively, especially on the young people in terms of the internet taxes that have come up, the mobile money, whatever. But unlike last year, this year the government is hoping that everything can be kept away and we can be discussing police brutality, which of course will take time to be done reforms. Unlike last year when we were saying no to the finance bill, which would have been done instantly. But between today and Wednesday, a lot can change. Young people can spin a conversation from Sunday to Wednesday before they show up on the roads. And I am hoping that because this year we are doing Maandamano very differently. We are going to show up in masks, because the young man who was hawking masks, you know, this government has a tendency of, you know, you go to school with a lot of problems. ukose kazi, uanze kazi ya mask, then serikali inataka kukuua. You know, they've not even given you the job opportunity that they promised, but they are again on your neck. And when we talk about police brutality, it should not be only narrowed down to the officer who was doing the action. It should be narrowed down to that whole delegation of the seniors who were in that vehicle. Because I understand that police have almost 4 stages in neutralizing a civil arrest in a demonstration. Before it gets to guns, there are other very many ways that they should deal with people. Before a police discharges a tear gas to the public, there are the rules. There is somebody who is responsible for that, who should account for that. But nowadays, it has become so ruthless that even when they get to town, the first thing they are doing is throwing a tear gas canister.
It's interesting that this conversation keeps going back to police brutality because I'm actually trying to gauge something.
But that is what is quite important right now, Fred, honestly. We cannot forego a life, and then, because this finance bill is supposed to be paid by alive people. So if they kill us all, who will pay the finance bill?
I agree. And I can already see Bwana Ken Babu amevaa mask tayari. Moved on.
But make sure you get the answer of the question.
I want an answer. I want an answer to this, and I want, because yes, we'll discuss police brutality. Yes, we must. But the issue is that on June 25th last year, it was a changing moment. Correct. There was a reason why people went to the streets. People breached parliament precincts. There's a reason why they even burnt down sections of parliament. It was because of the budget-making process. That discussion appears to have been lost. Fine, it could be government propaganda, government machinations that have succeeded. Are we saying that they have succeeded to change the conversation by the Kenyan youth from the economy to actually issues about the police?
Well, let's look at it differently. The culmination that led to the beginning, the onset of the revolution, now to when it came to the streets, was the finance bill. But remember, 6 months or even a year before then, not even a year, 2 years before then, there were slogans of Zakayo Ashuke, right? We were contending with poor governance. We were contending with a regime that was not abiding to court verdict. Or there is no regime that has faced a lot of litigation than this current regime. Therefore, the finance bill was not, that was just the tipping of that was just the tip of the iceberg. The
young people are really not interested in that discussion.
No, we were, even before. People were agitating for better governance, you know, a rule of law, better leadership from the regime. But then when it came to now the overtaxation, that is what now broke the camel's back. It is not that the regime has won, because if you look back, there has been ramifications from the collapse of the finance bill about the funding model, the contestation on the SHA, the contestation on the housing levy, which was even ongoing before the protest came into the streets. So today, even the doctors are still protesting, they're still striking. We have been having a lot of ramifications from that. So the people are winning. And that is why we are able today to have a DIG step aside, resign, and step out of office, because of the continuous agitation from the people. The people are very woke, and we are looking at the social justice. And like my panelists are saying, what we value most is life. So if there is a conversation around anything else that is happening in the country, and then we have an affront at the Constitution where the rights of a human being are violated to the extent that they are killed, we have to suspend those conversations and look at how can we continue advancing social justice, and the revolution stays on while we are still alive. We don't want to lose people unnecessarily. The government is very woke to that. The greatest opposition they are having is the people. It's not long about the political classes and the fake marriages they keep getting into. The people are woke and decided that come what may, we must have good governance within the time before we get to the next election.
Okay. Ken, the finance bill was passed yesterday. Yes. By the Committee of the Whole House of the National Assembly. It's awaiting presidential assent. Within a week or so, this will happen, probably even today. The Kenyan youth, most of them cannot even talk about what is contained in that finance bill.
You know, Fred, people not talking about does not mean that they've not read it and do not understand what the document contains. Let me tell you, Fred, you see, the responsibility of ensuring that these countries are run within the confines of the law barely on
And by the way, he has worn a mask
It's
in
not barely on
protest.
the
Just
shoulders
for
of young people. And I'm doing this mask in solidarity with Boniface Karaoke, a young man who was shot fatally for doing nothing apart from just selling masks to cover other comrades who are protecting themselves from police tear gas. And William Ruto has not said anything as the president on that. The National Police Service is telling us lies about that. And we've not seen that fella being charged. In fact, he should be charged immediately. Because that is something that happened in the, under
He was arraigned. He was arraigned yesterday.
Now, what I'm saying is this. It is not the responsibility of only young Kenyans to ensure that this country is well managed. Those MPs who passed the finance bill yesterday, they also bear responsibilities. And if you look at this, the situation in Parliament right now, in the spirit of broad-based or blood-based government, even if Kenyans decided that they are opposing that thing, today as it is, the government could have still pushed themselves and pushed that agenda. But as he has mentioned, major reasons why people went to the streets, and I agree with him that finance bill was just the culmination of everything. We were asking for good governance, end of corruption, high cost of living was too much, opulence in the eyes of citizens from the political class, high taxations, respect to the rule of law. But today, as you look at things, we are seeing the deputy presidents on the streets launching, doing empowerment, left, right, with bundles of money. You cannot even state where the money is coming from. If you are not careful, Fred, we are going to be in a situation where there is a printing somewhere, people go print money in the night and dish them out in the morning. We are going to have serious inflations that we will not be able to deal with. And that's why we are saying, between now and 2027, Kenyans must survive. People must live. But after 2027, we must, in fact, on 2027, during that elections, we must make critical decisions that will save the face of this country. Because up to now, we do not have a nation. Kenya Kwanza regime has ensured that nothing is actually working for the poor people. And that's why you saw, when they said, when people like Gaucho and that MCA fella said that they are going to mobilize goons to the streets, and they did mobilize goons to the streets. Those are young people with nothing to do. They are jobless. So if they are told that 2,000 shillings, go and fight your colleagues who are agitating for good governance, they come out and do it. Because the government has strategically ensured that they have nothing serious to do as far as economic empowerment is concerned. But let me tell you, I was looking at what John Mbadi read the other time. And it's unfortunate that State House was given an additional budget of 3.7 billion. And there is no clear breakdown on what they are going to do with that money. In short, they are putting their budget for tea and mandazi. They are just increasing tea and mandazi as people like David Lee and government advisors are walking around and enjoying life. So what we are saying is this. It is high time that Kenya Kwanza regime makes peace with the fact that 2027 is already determined. Okay. And these elections, they lost it on 25th June. And this June 25th plan that we are talking about, I want to tell you here that it will happen. The other time I told you that we will go to Pastor Mwai's church. You thought it was a joke, we were there. I told you that we will be on that streets, you thought it was a joke, and I'm telling you here right now, that 25th June we are going to march peaceably. Okay. Until the police decides to provoke as they are used to provoke. But let me just finish on this. We are going to march peaceably. Youth leaders from all across the country, activists, as my brother will put it, at paid activists or something. But what we are saying is this country needs a joint revolution, regardless of where you're coming from and what you're doing.
Let's now focus on the plans for June 25th, which falls next week on Wednesday. Hans, we saw what happened last year. And for some reason, we have not had a proper probe or inquiry into the events of last year, meaning that we do not have a report or recommendations on how to handle such things going forward. It was the very first time that parliament precincts were breached. It has never happened before in our country. We've not had that discussion. We've seen the events of the past 1 week, especially when it comes to police and demonstrators. We've seen the kind of criticism directed towards police in their action, fighting dissent, which has ended tragically in the killing of at least one person in police custody, the reckless shooting of another person on the street. And the question everyone is asking, is this what we should expect come Wednesday next week again? That we're just going to see anarchy, chaos, reckless killing of young Kenyans?
Fred, I want to be among Kenyans who are regretting the incidents of the shooting of Kariuki. And we've seen the speed that the police have done. Those police officers were arrested, arraigned in court. They're still in their custody for the next 15 days for investigation to be done. And I want to correct my friend here that you cannot judge. You cannot make a judgment as a judiciary cannot make a judgment because of whatever was played on a TV or a video. They have to have facts. They always say you might be accusing anybody, but us as a judiciary, we deal with facts. And so.
But what kind of fact you need? That bag was shot live.
I'm responding to you.
Yeah, but you were shot live on camera. What other fact do you need?
So listen, you know, we cannot run the country by activism. We don't run a country by, today, like if something happens, tomorrow you make another decision, you'll ban the whole country. All we know is that Kariuki will get justice. It is in my wish also to see all those people getting arrested, being judged, going to prison and so on. But we must be honest to Kenyans that everything has a process. Whether you support the government or not, you can never run the way you want. We have a constitution that does.
You just said that you hope that Boniface Kariuki will get justice, and that Albert Ojwang will also equally get justice.
Yeah.
Yet there are tens of young Kenyans who were killed last year who are yet to receive justice. Where do you get this hope that Boniface Kariuki or Albert Ojwang will get justice this time around?
We've seen the speed of the process that is going, even for Albert Ojwang. The OCS is in the custody as we speak today, the deputy OCS and the other police officers from Central Police Station. So it is in my thinking that things will happen differently going forward other than it used to happen before. So we hope that this will be a learning lesson to officers who tend to use the powers they have wrongly. Because we cannot say that because whatever happened in Central Police Station or the other day in the street means that all police officers are bad. You know, every family today in this country could be having one member in the security sector, if not police, in the KDF, KWS, prisons, wherever. And all of them are human beings of this country. So not everybody is a bad person. We have many number in thousands. So even those who are manning borders, manning everywhere, they're doing a great job. Today, there are people who have been robbed, and a police officer is helping them to recover their property. Somebody who has gotten an accident, a police officer is helping them to get their justice and go to insurance and wherever, get right documents. So there are many good things police officers have done. But for the few police officers who have done wrongly to Kenyan citizens, need to be judged as they deserve. But to give your hands on...
Do you agree that probably there are questions that are still being asked about the actions that police took last year, especially on June 25th?
True they are. And that's why in my next point, I want to encourage the hygiene of police today that kindly, if not must, use the powers you've been accorded by the Constitution and make sure that Kenya get what they deserve. Do what is right. Let me tell you one thing, Fred. We live in a tensional mode of life today in Kenya, whereby even when you drive on the road, somebody is just bitter. Nobody would love to give way for their brother or their sister driving. We live today in a situation whereby people seem to have some bitterness over another brother or another sister. So when you see other things happening, you don't need to like the shooting that happened in the street for Kariuki. We saw whatever happened. But we cannot today go on a national TV and blame it on the president. The president was not there with that guy with the gun. Okay. What you are saying is when somebody does something wrong, let that person be dealt as him or her.
Mwangi, one word that has been used on the headlines a lot this week is the word anarchy.
Yes.
Which means a state of disorder due to absence or non-recognition of authority or other controlling systems. We've seen images of police officers accompanied by goons in Nairobi who have claimed that they have been paid by political leaders to do that. There seems to be an issue of control and who's in control. Hans Ropier says the police IG should take charge. Do you think he is in control?
Actually, it's quite ridiculous to hear him say kindly. It should be a must. It's something that he has sworn to do, and he's defended it with his Bible, stood on the floor of the parliament and said that he should respect the rule of law. What is the rule of law, you may ask, Fred? Fred, a 19th century philosopher called A.V. Dicey, describes the rule of law in 3 simple elements. Number 1, it's the arbitrary state of it's the arbitrary, firstly, is the supremacy of the ordinary law, equality before the law, and thirdly, the absence of arbitrary power on the part of the state. And clearly, all those have been contravened and have been dashed down because unfortunately, there is no goodwill from this country. And unfortunately, as I say, the survival tactics of the youth have just been to stay back. And they have just postponed their victory to 2027. Because unfortunately, the trust deficit continues to increase every day. It is quite unfortunate to hear that people are being begged to actually protect us. It is their responsibility. You know what type of anarchy? And I know last year we were called criminals for going on the streets. And then later on we were apologized for being killed. However, one thing I want to say is that this thing called the rule of law should be a safeguard against dictatorship. However, in this stage and in this point of time, it is against the grain of the political elite, as what I saw Senior Counsel Ahmed Nasir was saying, that unfortunately can't take place because it's against the grain of what the political class would want, which is quite unfortunate.
The issue now is a concern around the anarchy that we're encouraging, and we're descending completely into anarchy. And questions are being asked about who's in control. It could be state-sponsored anarchy to some end, to whatever end they may want to achieve. But there are real risks involved, especially as we anticipate the marking of this anniversary. What do you think is happening? Because I don't think people have captured the essence that we are actually descending into anarchy.
Well, what I know for sure is that 25th of next week will not be stopped, cannot be stopped, shall not be stopped. We will come out in numbers, protest peacefully. I've seen attempts of the administration trying to say they're going to control where we go and how we go. That will not happen. So that is clear, point blank. We are coming out, and we are coming out in our own spaces because this is our nation, this is our country. We are the people and power belongs to us, the people. That is 1. 2, yes, we have already had a very quick decline into anarchy. When you see your former CES Interior, when we had the killings of the quarry, you know there are a lot of things that have gone unanswered. When they had the protest in the June 25th last year, there is no commission of inquiry, there is no conclusion on the matter, and that CES then, as marked as he is by the allegations that marked the whole killings of innocent civilians, is now a deputy president. Further to that, you have a current CES Interior, who even came out to try and pronounce himself on the Ojwang matter. He's not an investigative agency, he's not a police officer. He should have let the due process take place if there was no involvement from the regime. So today I am convinced here personally that the state has come to realize that the people have left already further ahead and prescribed a date, the 10th of August, if not sooner. And now they're trying to do anything to suppress a dissenting voice. Unfortunately, we, the people, shall be strong and we shall prevail. The police force has become now an element, because remember before, it was the court. They would issue court orders arbitrarily. And then they started now this arrest that would happen and people started disappearing. That's how the abductions came to be. This regime has now finally resolved to using the police force. And you see, in a country, in a current democracy like ours, you have 2 options when you're leading a nation. You either lead a good socio-economic policy making process whereby the people will embrace the leadership that you have in place, or you use the guns. And that's why you saw another CS. Unfortunately, now we are trusting him with our health systems. Unfortunately, Adan Duale, he released the military to the streets to deal with innocent civilians. That is an affront on the Constitution. So this goes to show you that this government has decided to fall back into anarchy by itself, and further, Fred, as I conclude on that matter, they are even now outsourcing violence from the civilians by hiring goons who are protected by police to just vet violence against peaceful demonstrators.
I have a question for you,
Please.
Kamanya, because once again, and I'll go back to the definition of anarchy, a state of disorder due to absence of non-recognition of authority or other controlling systems.
Yes.
And we may accuse a state of orchestrating anarchy for whatever reason, which is actually ironical because they should be maintaining the state.
Yes.
But do you think that this anarchy is also serving the purpose for young Kenyans, that probably they enjoy the kind of anarchy, that non-recognition of authority is what they're looking for, non-recognition of even the budget-making processes?
You know, the obvious answer to that is that this government, this regime was rendered illegitimate on June 25th. So it is true, we do not recognize it as an authority. And that's why you saw a shoe flying to the president. And many other things will be happening because everywhere you go nowadays, if you're not talking of one term, you know, just confirming the legitimacy of this regime, you have no chance of engaging the people. This government was rendered illegitimate. So nothing they say or do will people subscribe to.
So we are
in an anarchy
we are in a state of anarchy.
Correct.
That
yes.
there's nothing we're recognizing, Jerry, that going forward we are not recognizing authority and the controlling systems. Are we there yet? And does that serve the purpose or the intent of the young Kenyans?
First of all, I would want to get back to what my friend from government, the blood-based government, was trying to tell us that we cannot blame the president. I want to inform him that the president is called the commander-in-chief, meaning that the Ministry of Interior is literally, the security of this nation is literally for him to call the shots because he's even the appointing authority for the people like IG Kaja. Secondly, I want to inform him that he needs to be very informed that we're not talking of a few Kenyan police officers being rogue. We are talking of majority being rogue and very few being good at this point. Because in Milimani, Nakuru, this week, we've seen it in the papers, we are talking about somebody being mugged. Mtu anapigwa ngeta, you go to the police station to report, the person who just pigad you ngeta is the one supposed to give you an OB. And we want this nation to just continue properly when the police officers have decided that their side hustle is robbing Kenyans and they are using Kenyan tax-paid guns to go do these kind of activities. So when we talk about the police being reformed, we're not talking about a few of them. We've even heard of instances of robbery with violence all over when M-Pesa shops are robbed and everywhere. You understand it's a police officer who gave out his firearm or he was even part and parcel of that. So I want to tell my friend from the government, the next time you want to defend the police officers, please be very sure of what kind of numbers that you're talking about. Because at this point, the weighing scale is on the majority of police officers in this nation have decided to stop being police officers and being thugs. It has gotten to a point where today you will see it on social media, Fred, that if you are coming from somewhere and you see a hyena chasing you and the next person who can help you is a police officer, you would rather go back and deal with the hyena because you can be sure the hyena mnaeza ngengana and maybe you can survive it, but you cannot survive a police officer in Kenya who has a gun and who has, I don't know if we also need to look at their mental state when they're in these jobs because these are people who see very scary things every other day. And I think it's time that we made it mandatory that our Kenyan police officers go for an assessment mental health care every time they go for an operation. We cannot be using police officers to come serve Kenyans and yet their mental state is quite bad. And unfortunately, when we talk of the finance bill kuangushwa, when the affordable housing comes, they are coming to find a payslip of a police officer who has loans that he took to build a home. But when we go on the roads, the same police officer is being sent to come and disband the demonstrators. So when we talk of the authority part of it, Kenyans feel like we no longer have the structures of institution because IPOA gets their funding from this government. So along the way somewhere, they still have to tone the lane of this regime. The Ministry of Interior is again not independent in terms of who is the appointing authority for their seniors. Again, we have an extension in Parliament, in Senate. That aside, you will even go to Mashinani and you will find somebody telling you your case can't be investigated simply because you are one of the people who has been opposing government. So when Kenyans say that they feel that the authority of this nation is no longer what it used to be, I can agree with them, because why should we talk of this nation being in authority when it's only the powers and privileges of government that can be taken into consideration? What about the powers and privileges of a Kenyan? The right to life is the supreme right in the Constitution. When the police have decided to kill people like they can kill chickens in the evening, and the president cannot talk. When the member of Kasipul, I was with you here, friend, I think that morning, when that man was shot dead, everybody was all over running helter-skelter to understand what happened. We saw people left, right, and center working down the clock to ensure that people were arrested, people were taken to court. But for a Kenyan life, we have to go for demonstrations. Just last week, somewhere in Nyandarua, we had an incident in the newspaper where a police station in Karangatha, a woman has miscarried in a police cell simply because the police officers could not let her access medical care. And she has been screaming and wailing. And we were getting information from people who were around the police station, who were fearing the woman who is inside there and screams sana. Only for her to find out, only for the Kenyans to find out that she had miscarried in a police cell. So if today we were to do that analysis of the Kenyans who get victimized, who go through police brutality every day, we would have insane numbers. That is why I'm saying it's no longer about few police officers who are rogue. If we asked Kenyans through a secret form of picking information to give us information of incidences, we would realize that we've been running the nation on no authority.
It's beyond even just the police officers, Ken. I think the entire society, the entire Kenyan society is in anarchy. You talk about the dates of August 2027 as being decisive. But how sustainable is this existence in anarchy for the next 2 years? Meaning that we have no respect for authority, we do not believe in the structures that are there, the police service no longer serves us, but we are going to stay like this until August 27.
Fred, let me say that if today you are arrested, we will be more traumatized and stressed, because if you go into the police cell today, your family is not sure if you are going to come out walking. That's the situation we are in right now. And it's because the police and the government has intentionally disregarded and disrespected the life of Kenyans. They have a feeling that they have the powers, they have the arms, and they have the money, and they have the resources, and therefore, the normal mwananchi should not even utter a word. And Kenyans are responding to that kind of behavior. Kenyans are responding to that kind of attitude. When you are keep on attacking and attacking a cat, and you guys are closed in a room, you will attack up to some extent, and now the cat will decide that if it's about death, let's die all of us, and it will revolt. That's the situation we are in right now. The government has been attacking Kenyans through all corners in terms of economy, brutal attacks, disappearance, abductions, you get that? And Kenyans are saying that enough is enough. In fact, the political class, the MPs, there are specific members of parliament who have been on the front line, pushing and supporting the abductions and forced disappearance that is being facilitated by this government. And we are telling them that you must also be reminded that you have families, you have children, you have relatives in this country. And the same way Kenyans have given up on President Ruto and this government, one day, your constituents, your villagers will give up on you as a person. And you will feel the pain that Boniface Karuki's family is feeling today. You will feel the pain that Mzee Ojwang felt the day a son was picked, alive and healthy, and now is resting at the morgue. There is no difference between a villager and the person who is elected to represent them. The only difference is one is entitled of security, and the other one has been deprived security by the same government that should be protecting them. Let me tell you, 25th June is decided, and nothing can stop it as of this point. Nothing. We are not intimidated We are not afraid of anybody.
What should we expect on 25th?
It is decided that people are going to come up on the streets and we are going to do what we should do.
Which is?
And we are going to ensure that it is peaceful as it should be. But if the police tries to provoke Kenyans, if they want war, they will get war. If they want peace, we will serve them peace. So they are going to get what they ask for.
You sound like you're pretty informed about what the events have been planned.
What I'm saying is this.
I'm just trying.
What I'm saying is this. Get me.
What
Fred,
itinerary
if you walked into a hotel today and you ask for chapo madondo, you cannot be given chicken. And if you ask for chicken, you cannot be given chapo madondo. You will be served what you're asking for. As we are serving peaceful demonstrations, submitting petitions, and putting flowers in honor of the 60 comrades who were killed, including, additional to add on, Juang and Boniface Karoki was just shot fatally. But we are saying, we are going to do this thing peacefully, in a procedure and organized manner. But the police must be informed that they should not provoke Kenyans who are mourning people they killed by themselves.
Okay.
Get that? So that's what I'm saying. 25th is decided, and my brother here is saying that I might be privy to what is going to happen. I'm not. Let's all wait for what will happen.
Hans, the Kenyans have a right to mark even that anniversary, because the events of 25th of June last year were quite life-changing for so many Kenyans, including parliamentarians. What do you wish should happen, or what do you hope will happen on 25th of June?
I would say that I support that demonstration. I would even love to be around, but let it be peaceful. And I want to respond to my brother here that don't be insightful. All of us are Kenyans. And we shouldn't incite anyone that if this happens, we can do this. We can make the demonstration peaceful. I've indicated here before that we've seen demonstration happening in good other developed countries. And even let's speak for here, South Africa. We saw Malema doing demonstration with his team dressed in maroon t-shirts, and they were marching in the street. It is still possible for us to get a specific dress code, march in the street peacefully. Do not touch any kind of property, do not rob any person, and still we'll be able to communicate with the government. You cannot say today that if you want to pass a communication to the authorities, you want to use rough methods, we've seen many youth trying to take away the guns from the police. We've seen them trying to provoke the police. In many of them, we don't see that kind of good character of peace. We want to see a march, so that at least, and then from there are many better ways you can use to talk to the government. And therefore, I ask myself that as much as we regret the death of Juang, we want to request our youth that use your social media well. Do not use it to haunt someone else, because that person is a human being. He's a father, he has a family.
But
so as much, we cannot compare. We are not comparing whatever.
There is freedom of expression in Kenya.
But freedom of expression doesn't mean today I get a newspaper like this and I say Fred the thief, or Fred is making money from TV 47. That is not a freedom of speech.
But it means, hold on,
listen, hold on, let's listen, you'll respond. Hold on, I didn't interfere, Listen, interfere. Whatever Ochuang posted is not whatever was in the Standard newspaper. It is edited. It is not the same headline. Let us just respond. As much as I don't support whatever happened to Ochuang, but we are saying, as we go, we've seen, for the one for Ochuang is an example. There are many people who are posting wrong things on the social media. We shouldn't. Let us be cohesive. Let us be peaceful in whatever we do. And just to give a right of reply, I want you to be patient a little, Fred. To give a right of reply.
I'm looking at the time, and I think.
At the same time, I was considerate to my friends here. At the same time, someone was mentioning that I am the person of the government. Let me respond to my friend from Mamunyoro. Okay. We have 106,830 police officers in Kenya today. That is not Kenya Defense, that is not Kenya Prison, that is not KWS, that is Kenya Police only. She's tried to mention, if we ask her today to count the officers who have been, the issues she's trying to say that they have issues here and there on the way they do their service to Kenyans. It will be not even more than 20 or 30. We have many officers who are doing good to Kenyans. What we are asking IG Kanja, kindly use the powers you have, deal with those officers who are not doing right, so that you clean the name of over 100,000 officers who are doing it right.
All right. Because we have very few minutes left before the end of the show. Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot of reaction online about former Chief Justice David Maraga's declaration that he's running for president. And the issue, especially raised by many young Kenyans, is that he's an inspiring, those are the words they're using, not me, that he's an inspiring, is boring, and lacks charisma. And the question is, what are young Kenyans looking for in a possible presidential candidate? Mwangi.
Yes, so perhaps just to put some weight on whatever discussion we have here, you know, sometimes it's quite too hard to defend the police. They are mandated to tumikia us. What does that mean? Defend us and serve us, all as Kenyans. Yesterday I saw our online cousins did the thing and made lawyer Felix Kipurono withdraw from the case of the police constable who shot Boniface Karaoke. And so sometimes it's quite too sad. I've seen you trying to ask for the itinerary of June 25th. Some propagandists, and we don't know where they're from, are trying to say that we will be fighting, and at the end of the day, it even suggests that we'll be hanging our president, which I know is a wrong tactic, and something, of course, we don't believe in. And we know them. As you say, those are dissuading tactics, trying to beat around the bush. The truth of the matter is that us as young Kenyans are willing to go for peaceful demonstrations. And secondly, tapping into the wisdom of the truthful man. I don't know, they love Wamonyoro. It's not Wamonyoro. Wamonyoro is a village in Madeira. Him is the truthful man, and he tells us the truth. There's a ploy to kill the young people. So for us as online cousins, if you're a cousin and you believe that you will not be on the street, please do your thing. He's going to diaspora next year. Our diaspora people, next month, my bad. He's going to diaspora next year, next month. He's going for consultations on how we can better this country, on what we can do to help retain the payslip of everyone. So it's quite absurd to hear that apparently they are claiming that it will be peaceful. We know, and you see even on the headlines today, apparently they have assured us that they will keep us protected. It is, of course, they've done it too many times for us to believe them. And the trust deficit, as I say, continues. Mm-hmm. On to now your question to do with Emeritus Chief Justice David Maraga. You know, I don't know what is his take. We've not had his ideas. So perhaps not to put a lot of weight on it. But we know him of being a bold man, someone who stands out and is quite decisive on whatever decisions he makes. He's a man who, of course, cannot perhaps be bought and is willing to uphold what I said is the rule of law. And those three elements, if they are done, we will uphold the dignity of this country. And trust you me, Kenya will be the republic that we are proud to. You know, today it's even hard to wear our Kenyan bracelet because we even lack that enthusiasm of just wearing it. So what I can assure the people is that June 25th will be as peaceful as it could be. But as also what my friend here, Ken Babu, says, whatever you ask from the people, whatever you put before the people is the same energy that will be given unto you. Mm-hmm. So whatever you give will be, however, it will not be pressed down and probably dissuaded other ways. However, we stand guided that the rule of law has to take place. And let us be advocates of justice and integrity. And in whatever we do as youth, may it be of the betterment of this country. Because Kenya is us. We are Kenya and Kenya is our business.
All right.
Yes, thank you.
It's a necessity of this anniversary.
Right.
And I'm questioning now, do we have to do it? And for what purpose are we doing it? Is it just to perpetuate more anarchy? Or what kind of statement are the young Kenyans hoping?
Well, we are doing it in honor of our leader. And we stand very well led by our leader, which is the Constitution. The Constitution allows us to agitate to picket, to advance, whenever we feel that there is an affront or a violation of the same, the Constitution. Because we, the people, we have dedicated, directly and indirectly, powers. And everybody from the president to any other public office is an employee of Kenyans. So if we have allowed you to be in office and you are misbehaving, you are violating the conduct, the code of conduct, we have a right as Kenyans to come out and tell you, this is not what we voted you for, what we appointed you for, and this is not what we are paying you for. So it is in honor of the Constitution. Unfortunately, as we advance that course, which is now, because we live in a modern society where we must have laws and we must abide to the rules of laws that we have set as a nation, we have experienced loss of life. It is only fair to mark in remembrance, this particular day of the 25th, the fallen patriots and comrades. Because the revolution is on. This cannot be stopped. This is not about an individual. This is not about the president as a person. It's about the whole governance system that we have in place that is not serving the public policy. If we were to have that conversation exhaustively, people who are here trying to defend the government would understand that all we want is a better nation, a better country where we can live in. So this must be done. It has to continue happening because our leader calls for us to do so, and the leader is the Constitution. Now, about the Chief Justice, I welcome him to the presidential arena. However, right now we are not looking for a person to be a president. We are seeking to ask ourselves as Kenyans, what problems can be solved by the next election? Because for far too long we've been thinking about who is going to be the next president, who is going to be the next president. And we have ended up with persons in office, like this current regime, who are not conversant with the issues that we want resolved as a nation. So right now we should be looking at what are the problems that we are facing. So when the opportune moment comes, then we are going to vet all these people from Maraga to any other presidential candidate who will be there to see who will be the right person for the job. And right now, I believe the problem we are having is a socio-economic crisis. If we can get to understand that as a country, then we are going to collectively come together and decide with our sovereignty and collective will, this is the person we want to do the job. And I've had the president try to throw hints that he cannot hand over power to certain. That is not his jurisdiction. That is not his decision. We hired him. We can fire him anytime. Even today, if you wanted to fire the president, we just have to follow the Constitution. So we are looking at a person who, right now we're trying to understand our problems as a people. Then we should decide this is the right person who can get the job done in the next 5 years.
Jerry, we know the pain that Kenya felt after the events of June 25th last year. And many people feel that probably going back, following the same route again this year, even if just to mark an anniversary, would be a bit unnecessary. Do you agree?
Yes, I agree that it's going to be very wrong for the police officers to come to the roads and again kill us. I also agree that it's going to be very wrong for the Parliament and Senate to agree that the KDF should be brought to the roads. I also agree it's very wrong for the President and the CS for Interior to be quiet. But then again, to go back to your question of what the Maraga issue of him going for presidency, we as the Kenyan youth are looking for anybody who is qualified enough to jail the people who have been in power in this regime and have conducted injustices. We want somebody who can wake up and ensure that the president of this nation, after we make him a one-term president, anaweza simama kwa koti na afungwe. We want somebody who can take Professor Kithure Kindiki to court to answer to us that why when he was the interior of the CS Interior, why we had to lose so many lives. We want the CS, current CS of Interior, also Murkomen. Somebody who can bring to book Sudi and Farouk for telling us that despite the votes not being enough, they'll still figure out a way of their guy being a two-term. We want somebody who can ensure that the likes of the current CS Health, who has the audacity to tell Kenyans that he needs 600 million to destroy medicine worth 90 billion that has expired. You see, some of these people, you really wonder if they listen to themselves when they talk. What do you tell Kenyans you need 600 million to go destroy medicine worth 90 billion? You are telling us you need money to waste more money, and you want Kenyans to be squeezed through the finance bill to give you the 600 million. We have a nation where this regime has decided that our finance bill every year We can only be talking of 1 billion for 1 trillion for almost not even a trillion. It's less than 900 billion for development, and the whole other for recurrent. We cannot talk about a regime that wants to squeeze us money for the likes of Kina Karen Nyamu and everybody else to go dancing for us in London, telling us that we need to pay taxes. We cannot squeeze Kenyans off taxes for you to buy canisters and then come kill us. So in that light, I agree. We don't need to go back to the police don't need to come back to the roads. They can just stay at home. And if they joke with us, the next time what we are going to do, we are going to walk into the nearest police station. We demonstrate from the nearest police station, because when we go to the police station, I don't think Ken Babu, they are going to, the police officers are going to leave the police station, and nobody is going to be moved from one station to come fight people kwa maandamano. Wakicheza na sisi the next maandamano, tutaandamana kila mtu police station yao, the whole day we will sit there, drink tea with them in the morning, eat lunch with them in the afternoon, and eat dinner with them, because no other police officer will be deployed from one station to the other. And they need to remember that if Kenyans decide to walk up to their police stations, the ratio number of the Kenyans vis-a-vis the police officers, they can be very sure hawatatuweza, because at the end of the day we have realized that these police officers are also in anguish poverty. It's just that they don't talk about it. Mtu anatoka kutupigia kanista, watoto wake wamelala njaa, payslip yake hata ijabakishwa hata kitu, na bado tukienda kumtetea anataka kutupiga. And also again, in terms of the reforms that we want as young people, we are going to ensure that we upscale the bar for the police officers recruitment. We cannot use 32 teeth as a qualification for you to hold a gun. We cannot use the qualifications of you are the fastest runner as a qualification for you to hold a gun. We will need to assess their mental capacity. We will need to assess their intellectual capacity, because before you use a gun on a hawker, you would have engaged him, unafanya nini hapa, enda nyumbani, you would have intellectually engaged them. So we need to upscale the bar, because the bar is no longer existent in terms of our police recruitment. And not only the police, any officer who is supposed to handle Kenyans, because it's very unfortunate when we recruit officers on basis of their teeth and who does not have stretch marks and who has stretch marks, and then we allow them to come on the road to deal with Njeri Kahiga or Ken Babu. And when the moment they hear Ken Babu saying the constitution says, anakuambia wewe unafikiria hiyo kizungu yako itakusaidia. So we need to upscale the bar in terms of our police recruitment policies. And as we finish, today I want to tell the young people of Kenya that don't worry. I have had my friend from government tell me that I'm a Wamunyoro person, and I'm proudly part of the young people who have joined hands with opposition leaders from DAPK, from NAC, DFF, PLP, and Wamunyoro. You know, we are used to calling it NAC, eh? And we will be today going to Meru. And when we get to Meru, our first agenda is going to ensure that the people of Meru explain to us whether they also agree with Kenyans that the Professor Kithure Kindiki will need to be the first person to be jailed by the next government that we are going to form. And including those senators and members of parliament who are in parliament today laughing and smiling and telling us that, you know, we can mourn and move on. We want to tell them, ule wakati ukifika tutawaeka ndani. And for anybody who wants to be a presidential candidate, you have to assure Kenyans utafunga hii serikali. You have to assure us. Okay. And when you assure that, we the Gen Z are going to give you our votes.
All right. Kemba kizungu mingi.
Thank you, Fred. Let me make it brief, and I agree with Njeri. It's true that we must look into the qualification of police officers. Because what she's saying, I've encountered that personally. When you raise an issue and they think that you talking in English is now, and you are intimidating them. It's not our problem. It's not our problem. We just went to school. I want to say that it is clear that the war has been declared by the government. The government has declared war against the people. And I want to tell Kenyans that this thing is not about the young people alone. This is a war to survive. This is a war to protect the future. Parents and the elderly. This is a war to protect the future of your children and your grandchildren. Do not leave it to the youth alone. We are fighting this thing because we are very certain that if we don't do it today, then we are not even certain of being here tomorrow. And life is for the moment. And that's why I said, 25th June is decided. There's nothing that will change it. There's nothing that Kenya Kwanza regime under President Ruto is going to change, to do, that will change the mindset of Kenyans that there's something good that can happen. Unless they wake up tomorrow and give back people like Rex Masai, Denzel Omondi, and the 60. If they walk into the mortuary today and wake up Albert Ojwang, then things can change. But until then, we are going to march in solidarity with those who are killed and cannot stand and defend themselves. Finally, I want to say that the shooting of Boniface Mwangi is not something that we can say that happened as an accident. That was a communication by the police of their intentions. So the question should be, if Boniface Karaoke was shot live on cameras, how many people have been shot behind the cameras? How many Kenyans have been brutally murdered away from the TVs? How many Kenyans have been brutally abducted and disappeared? KNHCR says that 82 cases of abductions were recorded. And up to now, 29, people do not know where 29 are. Where are these people? And that's why we said the buck stops the president. President will need to come up and tell us, where are these 29 people? One life is very, very important. So we are talking about 29. Okay. This is a whole family. If it was from one person, from one lineage, this is a whole family that has disappeared. That's why we say we must operate within the confines of the Constitution. And I've seen Robert Alai saying that if young Kenyans come up to protest, they are also going to send their people to, protest or defend. That's why I said, what will happen on 25th June will depend on how the police will respond. And I've been to these demonstrations, and I want to tell you, no Kenyan walks and starts fighting the police. It is the police who comes and start beating and throwing tear gas at the peaceful protesters, and that's where the war starts. So if IG Kanja is watching or is listening, let him talk to his boys and make them understand that nobody is coming to the streets with the intention to fight. But that does not mean that if they start war, people will run away from them. People will fight. You will have to protect yourself.
Right. I don't remember you mentioning or giving your thoughts about CJ Maraga's...
CJ Maraga, yes, it's good that he's coming out as one of the candidates for presidency. We are a democracy, and I think him coming up, it's a good thing, so that we have enough space for practicing democracy and people have enough choices to make for. And I also should remind William Ruto that it is not within his confines of powers to decide whether to hand it over or not. The Constitution does not even require him to be there in the first place.
He will be in jail.
He can be, we can take that power while he's already starting to serve his second term in jail. So he should not be worried about handing over power. In fact, that communication is an indication that he has made peace with the fact that he is headed home. In fact, he is home. So he should not worry as, handing power, nothing. Okay. We will take power and we will organize this country and we will give the Kenyan people what they deserve as by the Constitution. Right. And people like the police who are misbehaving with their bosses, we know where we will put them. Those who are eager to get second term, they will get that committee.
All right. Hans, wrap it up for us.
Fred, today I've been a good listener. you know, at times you listen until you have to ask yourself between words and facts. Do you know why Maraga can never be a sweet candidate to some of my panelists here? It's because the intention is not to fight for Kenyans. The intention is...
Don't speak on our behalf.
I haven't said everyone.
No, let us inform him. He cannot speak on our behalf. No, he cannot make such a
perspective.
If the perspective don't involve us with his opinion.
It is his opinion.
But
he has a right.
He's including us.
No.
I've given him the platform.
Hold on. I haven't said...
Because Jerry. First person.
Hold on.
Let's give him time. Let's give Hans time.
Whether we like it or not, we'll say it. People pushing their presidential candidates because they have ambitions of having certain positions in government. Let me tell you what politics in Kenya is. People today from Nyanza will pursue supporting Raila Odinga because Raila Odinga is a strong leader in Nyanza and therefore to get positions in ODM. If you go to Rift Valley, there'll be more in UDA. If you go today to Mount Kenya, there'll be more in DCP. You get it? There'll be no about the likes of Maraga wanting to become president. Today, Matiang'i is very strong in Kisii than Maraga. There'll be few Kisii supporting Maraga. They'll go to Matiang'i's. And therefore, I was trying to tell you, Maraga is not a sweet candidate to pro-politicians who go into the street to use the weaknesses in the government to push in, to support in their candidates. But lastly, to give us my last statement, more as we wait for this 25th demonstration, I want to tell youth, before you go to the street on 25th, I want you to read the budget that the government has placed in for the next financial year. See the things that government has planned to do for the country, and also study the finance bill well, so that you compare whatever you are being asked to pay under finance bill if you are going to get it in the budget. So that by the time you go to the street, you are informed. Do not go to the street feeding on information from someone else. Make an effort as an individual. And that's why at times I feel people can even, before we go and talk much on several kind of platforms we are given, you should even be given just a few minutes to define a budget that a government has been placed, if you know, or the finance bill if you read, so that we don't misguide or misinform Kenyans on things that we do not even know for our own personal interests and gains that we want. But lastly is, whatever it
Our
is,
time is up, yeah.
whatever the government is planning, Fred, today, there's more good. There's no perfection. There are things that are wrong that we don't support. But there's more good that the government has achieved. And we want to encourage the media to at least do a bit of cover up of what the government has achieved so far.
Mwangi, what is this that is so pressing?
For me, it's just to conclude. And what I want to say is that politicians look at the next election. Leaders look at the next generation.
All right.
And that is our interest as young leaders.
Yeah.
And so yesterday I saw them, they accuse us of being quarter-term, them doing half-term results. So I hope in those half-term tactics of theirs, they've come into the reality that the inevitability of one term is now. And if not now, nakama si sasa, ni hivi sasa.
Okay.
And so one term is inevitable. And that is my stand.
Thank you so much. Mwangi Ngai, Head of Youth Affairs, Mtoto News Advocacy Group, Hans Rop, a political analyst, Njeri Kahiga, National Youth Leader, Ken Babu, National Youth Chairperson, DIP-K, and Josephat Kamanya, political analyst. So our analyst this morning on State of the Nation, the youth perspective today, we were listening to young Kenyans and what they think or feel about what has been happening as we anticipate the events of June 25th, marking the first anniversary since June 25th, 2024. And of course, everyone knows what happened that time. After the break, remember it is a Feel Good Friday here and we have a big birthday to celebrate as well. So DJ Granite will be in the house with some beautiful music, plus a lot more. Ano Dida and our weekend Cuban Sekimuyu are on standby with a lot more stuff for you right here at Morning Cafe. My name is Freddie Ndimuli. Have a lovely weekend.